Hello and welcome to Law Weekly. I'm Shola Shoyeli. Issues of women and women's rights again take center stage as we count down to the celebration of women against the background of the International Women's Month. My guest is one of Nigeria's most prominent maritime lawyers, editor, author, and a senior advocate of Nigeria. Jean Chiazo Anishere studied law at the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, and was called to the bar in 1986. She would later go back to the University of Lagos for a Master's in Law LLM in 1990. And in 1996, she bagged the Certificate of Merit in Shipping from the Cambridge Academy of Transport, UK. In 1997, she was awarded the International Woman of the Year by the International Biographical Centre of Cambridge in recognition of her services to the legal profession. And in 2005, she was named the International Professional of the Year for her excellent practice in the field of law. She's won numerous awards, chaired several committees, and held several positions in the maritime sector, arbitration, and even internationally. In 2020, she was conferred with the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Now, against the background of the International Women's Month, I began our interview by asking her if there are still laws that discriminate against women in our statute books.
Not that I know of. Last year there was this outburst, as it were, about women not being given the opportunity to give their husband citizenship, which men could. And I know that at the House, the National Assembly, the issue came up seriously. Women took to the streets, and the matter has been brought before the National Assembly, the House of Rep. It's gone up for second reading. So since it's being tabled before the National Assembly, I'm sure they'll work on it. I'm sure it's going to be taken care of. So that shouldn't be an issue any longer. Again, is the Matrimonial Causes Act. That used to be discriminatory of some sort, where the decree nisi has become absolute. In Nigeria, we're not as fortunate as in Europe, where the lady takes the property of the man as long as she's got kids or she's lawfully married to the man. So that is probably to keep the sanctity of marriage. So here in Nigeria, the same thing. If the divorce is through, the lady can still keep the house if she wishes to stay in that house, notwithstanding that she hasn't got legal title, as it were, like COO in her name. She can still take a part of the house and live in it. Laws on discrimination are being taken care of by lawmakers. Women are becoming very aware of their rights and they're speaking out. So these, what do I call it now? Is it an acronym, or this policy of Sorosuke, as it were, is become a reality? That is speak out has become a reality, and women are becoming very much aware of their rights. The men are having to accommodate us. The laws are friendlier. Yes.
The number of women in governance in Nigeria is also very few. Do you agree with those who say perhaps it's time to legislate for more women participation in governance?
Yes, indeed. I agree that the legislation should be specific. Should say that we should have the female gender in this ratio, 40 to 60%, or even 50% of the women, as long as they're qualified. If it's specific, then the women will go for that. We will have something to work towards, we'll have something to look up to, we'll have something to claim. But being mute as it is now, leaves it open for debate, for discuss, and allows the men to torpedo, as it were, and not give us that opportunity to fill in the gap of 50-50 or 40-60. So I totally am for the legislation being specific on the ratio of the women that would occupy, or that should occupy, government positions. There are a lot of women who are qualified, to occupy government positions. We don't need to look far. But I think it's basically that some women shy away from having to go into politics because of all the hula baloo that it takes, and the fact that we're not encouraged by the legislation. There's nothing to say that it's 50-50 women, so just go for it. If you can bring up good manifesto, if you can tell us the metal that you're made of and that you're qualified, knowing that the policy says 50% goes to women, we'll go for it.
Are you aware if there's any such laws globally in other jurisdictions?
Rwanda is a good template to start with. You know, that's been the pride of Africa now. It used to be South Africa. It's so exciting and encouraging to see a lot of women occupying positions in the government in Rwanda at par with the men.
Did they legislate?
Yes, indeed. They sit with the presidency. Yes, indeed. And I think they said there's maybe they're a wee bit outnumber the men, but there are more women that I know. There are more women in Rwanda sitting in the positions of power, sitting, you know, with the presidency. I'm so excited about the review that is ongoing.
The constitution review.
Yes, the constitution review. Letters have been sent out to various NGOs, female NGOs, to have a look at, make their contributions, send in their own memoranda. That is very encouraging. That is good. So it's an opportunity for women to now bring their views to bear. Have a look at the constitution where provisions are plethora, where the provisions therein stating that women cannot occupy these seats, or where women are being how do I put it, prejudiced against the men. So this window is what we women should ensure that we take advantage of. Really sit down, study our constitution, make our views by way of memoranda, submit to the National Assembly, and ensure that when it is time for public hearing, that we do sit with them so we can also air our views and be able to defend our memoranda.
Let's talk about your journey into the inner bar. Would you say that you faced any discrimination on the basis of gender? Because we still have very few female SANs compared to the men.
There are very few indeed. We're actually 30, less than 40 female senior advocates of Nigeria, as opposed to well over 1,000 men, male senior advocates of Nigeria. Discrimination? Well, I wouldn't say there is any legislation that discriminates. I mean, we are all gentlemen of the bar.
No, I'm not even talking about this legislation, but I'm talking about in practice.
In practice?
Yes.
Oh, well, at the inner bar, no.
That kind of limits women climbing. I mean, what's responsible for such few numbers of women at the inner bar?
I think it's because of the other positions that we occupy at home. Because it's the same requirements that we all have to satisfy to be able to attain the silk. It's very tough, it's onerous, and it's tougher for women because of our position as mothers, as wives, having to leave our homes as early as 6 to catch a first flight, probably to be able to get to the another jurisdiction because you have a matter in the appellate court in trying to meet your requirements of the number of judgments that you should have at the appellate courts. You know, you have to perform your wifely duties, you have to perform your motherly duties. Surely you don't want to leave all this to the housekeeper, particularly if you don't have a hubby that is quite understanding and is accommodating. That could be a Herculean task.
Would you say that this is what is also responsible for the low number of women in leadership positions in the bar? Because since Dame Priscilla Kuye became president of the NBA, we've not had anyone, you know, reach that height.
Well, taking the helm of affairs of the Nigerian Bar as the president of the Nigerian Bar Association is not as onerous as taking silk. I mean, you don't need to make certain requirements of appellate judgments and what have you. You just have to show leadership skills, leadership qualities, and you have to prove that you're a good team player. So I wouldn't say that our domestic chores at home would limit us showing interest in showing the man that we can also lead, if not better, as president of the Nigerian Bar Association. So why are we not having women come out to do this?
What do you think is responsible?
I think it's motivation. Women must learn to support one another. We must learn to encourage one another. I guess that's why I'm so excited about this year's theme for IWD, Inspire Inclusion. It's not only inspiring inclusion, it's increasing women for economic progress, which is another of the theme from IMO.
Did you always want to be a lawyer?
That's a story. You'll be surprised that my JAM never read law.
Wow.
My JAM result never read law.
What was your first choice?
Medicine. You know, although I had a stint of optometry, I was in the science field at the University of Benin. But the beautiful thing for my dad, who actually changed my course from medicine to law, was that I had 10 subjects. I sat 10 subjects for WAEC. So I had a combo of arts and science, you know, for years for my WAEC.
Was he a lawyer?
No, his parents couldn't afford to send him to the uni to study law that he wanted so much to do. And my dad saw in me the lawyer that he couldn't become, and turned my my soul, as we say in the maritime law. And in those days, we listened to our parents. There was nothing like, Dad, let me do what I feel like doing. Like kids nowadays have their own, you know, ways. No, your dad says he wants you to do this. It's, yes, Daddy. I have no regrets. And hence I named my chambers after him in his lifetime. Funny, I don't even like the sight of blood. I would have been a terrible medical practitioner.
Let's talk about constitution amendments. There's talk of another amendment exercise in this present 10th National Assembly. I know there's been talk about restructuring to reflect true federalism. There's also been that debate about dumping the presidential system of governance for the parliamentary system of government. But what areas do you think should be addressed, and what kind of reforms would you like to see in our constitution amendment process?
First is that provision for equal rights for women, which is being identified, thank goodness, and you know they're asking women to now bring their positions to bear. That's very important. Equal rights for women, 50-50 or 40-60 for women to participate and sit in governance, even at the presidency. That's good. That's key. Parliamentary system, I don't know. We haven't even been able to get it right with the democratic system that we find ourselves in, and then we want to dump it and jump to another one. I think that's not the solution. The parliamentary system is the United States, isn't it? It's just not it. It's us getting the provisions of the Constitution right. It's us, you know, contributing to its making. I appreciate the fact that the first Constitution did not have majority of Nigerians, you know, participate in it. So it's like it's just been foisted on us. So I can understand the problem we're having with that Constitution. But now we're going to have a town hall, as it were. Everyone who is a Nigerian who is able to understand writings can come and say it, how you want your constitution, what actually guides your life, your governance, you know, to come make a position, make your own contribution to it. That's beautiful. Democracy is good if we practice it well. I don't think we should. We're just going to be like forum shopping. It's like playing the game of ping pong. That's table tennis. So what happens if we dump democracy and we take parliamentary and we don't get it right with parliamentary? What's going to happen? We'll dump parliamentary and probably look for something federalism like you got. And what happens if we don't get it right? We'll look for another form of government. We are just playing the ping pong. Let's get it right this time. We're working towards it. Everyone, bring in your memoranda. Go read your constitution. Tell us areas in the present constitution where you feel that we need to amend to suit your gender or to make life easy for the lowly, the children rights, very important, because the children cannot speak for themselves right now. So we have to protect their interests. So that's also very important, and many more. So if we can get the constitution right and practice it, I think we're good to go. We'll be the envy of Africa and maybe the world.